And welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider. This is PRI coming to you from Moe's Pizza in West Wego, 1112 Avenue H, where Italians do it better. I'm your head coach for PRI, Rick Gailey, along with the Prep Recruiting Insider, Renee Nato. And today we are so pleased to have with us Coach Nelson Stewart of the Newman Greenies. Nelson, thanks for taking some time out to leave school and spend all this time away from school and be here with us at Moe's Pizza.
It's my pleasure to be here. I know my players are really devastated to come get good food in the middle of the day and get off class. You know, we're thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Nelson, every year, unless you win your final game and go undefeated, you have some highs, you have some lows. What did 2016 tell you about you, your staff, and the Newman Greenies?
I think in a lot of ways this year might have been my favorite season. I told our seniors it was the first time we'd kind of had a losing streak. We had a really tough 4-game skid when we started. We came within really a breath of Riverside Academy and just kind of lost our grip a little bit. By the time we caught our breath, we had lost 4 games. But I was so proud of our seniors and our captains, especially Miles LePere and Kobe Poche. We just decided at that point to get back to playing football. We went more live during practice, focused on blocking, tackling. Really just looked at ourselves in the mirror, made the personnel adjustments necessary, and they just allowed us to lead. And I think that, after that point, we're able to finish the game with 2 wins, going to West St. John in a huge victory to get us in the playoffs. And then, obviously, I think our season was really made. And over in Baton Rouge, we played Dunham going in as a 12 seed. We never been in that role, beating a 5 seed and winning 41-40 in a game that a lot of people saw on television was one that really we'll never forget. And both those guys, Miles and Kobe, were fantastic. Kobe taking the ball from a quarterback, stripping him in the open field, and Miles throwing for 5 touchdowns, 350 yards in a game-winning drive. It was a game of a lifetime, and I think we learned a lot more. Sometimes you learn more when you battle adversity than you do when it's given to you. And as I told the guys, it was actually the first time in our history we'd gone to the state quarterfinals 3 years in a row, going quarters, semis, quarters. And I think we got to where we wanted to. It was just a tough path to get there, but sometimes that's the most rewarding thing you can have as a coach.
And the comeback against Dunham wasn't your first comeback, as you mentioned, that you started out with 3 victories and then had that tough stretch. How do you keep the players engaged? I mean, it's because it's not like you're the only messenger to them. They're in touch with so many other people, and how were you able to get their attention, keep them focused on their work till they got through it?
I think we have great culture in our locker room. We're fortunate. We've had a lot of success in years past, and a lot of buy-in. I think just meeting with our captains and trusting the course, and just focusing on what was going on in the locker room. That's what we all said. It didn't matter the chatter on the outside. I think that when you're used to success and that's in your foundation, it's hard. It's a foreign feeling. It's a different feeling to all of a sudden be looking at 4 losses. But I think we just took a breath and we challenged them. We challenged them physically about, you hear all the time about, no contact, and we went live and we did a lot of blocking, a lot of tackling. I think the kids realized that, remember, football's a physical sport. We weren't going to be out physical, and we were going to do it the right way. And I also think we have a great support staff and our assistant coaches, led by Wayne Cordova, our defensive coordinator, who's so fantastic. And it was really on a Sunday night at 5 o'clock after we watched film, we made the decision to go back and get to, blocking and tackling some of those Oklahoma drills and big cat drills, just to challenge our physicality and work on leverage. And so it wasn't just me, it was, our support staff of guys, and everybody just wanted to win. And I think that our kids did. And as I said, I think it's just being positive and focusing on the fundamentals. Remember what football is, because it can go negative. And once you're negative, gets in your locker room, and all of a sudden it's lost. So I just think it was a total team effort.
Going back to your days at Newman, you went to Tulane. How was recruiting for you, and how closely do you monitor the recruiting process now as a head coach?
Well, I think for me, it was one that a lot of our players have gone through. I wasn't one of those, 3, 4-star guys that had a bunch of offers. A lot of my opportunities came first at the small college level, your, Division II, Division III schools, and then obviously some Division I schools. And from my process, it really started with where I wanted to go to school. And I was fortunate. I got some nice offers. I remember interest from Ole Miss, Louisiana Tech, Tulane. But for me, it was, where do you want to walk on and play line? And that's not an easy thing. And for me, Coach Frank Jaduce and Coach Reginelli just, preached to me, where do you want to go to school, one, and where's the best fit? And I monitor it, but I think it starts also with our college counseling office, and where is the best fit for our players. I mean, we've had just as many kids go have success at, Cornell as, we've had Stanford, now Texas A&M, Clemson. We're very fortunate that our kids have gone to those schools, but you have to factor in school size, geographics, fit, and all those things. And I try and be supportive in the process and really let them and their family make the decision and really just be a nice sounding board for them. But I think you have to just to rein kids in, but ultimately they're the ones that have to go to school there. They're the ones that have to play there. So it's not about me, it really is about the student athlete.
And at Newman, a lot of success, a lot of great players over a long, long period of time. And now that responsibility is on your shoulders every year. How do you maintain that standard of excellence year in and year out, whether you have great players or whether you have just a good team of solid hard workers? How do you maintain that standard?
Well, I think for us, it's culture. I think it's something that was built many years ago, and I've been very fortunate in my tenure to have won a lot of games. But we had, obviously many coaches, started with Tony Reginelli. I always say that, he built the ship that I'm driving, and I think that's very important. That if you go in our locker room, going back to, I think, 1931, we have every kid that's ever played, 4 years in college all the way around. Up top with some lighting on it. We're fortunate Peyton and Eli helped us do the locker room, and I think what's interesting when you look at that is it's not just about the Broncos and the Giants. We have as many guys from Millsaps and Davidson and all over the country and Wesleyan, and I think that's one of the things for us. If a kid is able to play college football, that's great, but we've had just as many go on and just be successful professionals. In the end, what was taught to me and I believe is it really is about the kind of husband they're going to be, the kind of father they're going to be, and if they can just create a winning attitude. We all want to win, hold a trophy and hang banners, but football's the toughest sport, without question. As you know, I'm not near the Coach Gailey was, but I think that he can tell you it's tough to get there, and if you're going to raise everything on winning championships, you got a tough road. But I think for us, it's about the culture in the locker room, the success we have, and just, again, teaching those guys to do things the right way. So I'm just trying to pass on what's been taught to me as best I can.
The last minute or so, what does 2017 promise for Newman Greenies?
Well, we're excited. I think, our last game in the state quarterfinals, we started 4 seniors. Now, there were 4 fantastic seniors. We had 2 or 3 guys out. This year, we had no returning starting offensive linemen as a result of the one returning guy that got hurt in the first game. So, when you have that many juniors coming back, there's some excitement around your program, and there's excitement because of the work the seniors did. I think our kids feel like, wow, if we're able to right that ship and do that, there's a lot in front of us. We're very excited about all of our defensive backs returning, linebackers, Cy Winsberg, all of our defensive lines returning, offensive lines returning with the exception of one, all of our wide receivers and running back, and we have a great young quarterback in Martin Butcher. So we're obviously very excited, and we just want to build on what we accomplished last season. But it could be a special year, but we feel that way every year, but I think we could be in for a really good one next year.
And this is a redistricting year, so how has your district changed from what it was last year? We had Riverside, St. Charles, and Country Day all in the same district. What are the changes happening in your?
Well, we're going to obviously St. Charles moves on, which obviously that's a really tough team. But you keep Riverside, you keep Country Day. South Plaquemine looks like they're going to come into our district, and Fisher, a school we've had a long good relationship with. I think it's going to be a very tough district. I think when you have that level of competition and guys, week in, week out, we're used to it. It felt like the SEC this week. I think that this year, I should say, I think 4 or 5 of us were in the state quarterfinals on both sides. But that level of competition is what helped us, gain victories in the playoffs. So more of the same, a little smaller, I think less district games, but we're going to have to play really well. And you got the returning state champ and a number of great teams in there, so we're going to have to play really well next year.
Yeah, just another day at the office for Coach Nelson Stewart and the Newman Greenies. We thank you so much for being here with us today. One of the great young coaches in South Louisiana. We'll be back after this timeout with some of his players to find out why he is such a good coach after this.